There's a difference between a child being watched and a child being taught. At Academy Child Development, teachers bring award-winning Fraud Street curriculum to life for infants through pre-K children. Early language, math, and science lessons build their confidence so they walk into kindergarten ready. Tuition at the Academy includes special enrichment programs. Murfreesboro families new to the Academy enjoy discounts until August 30th, so book a tour today. Call the Academy at 629-284-3108. That's 629-284-3108.
When it comes to your child's health,
you want care that's close, convenient,
and centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
Here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you
every step of the way.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable, Tennessee Association of Broadcasters Award winner for Best Local Talk Show. A look at the news, views, politics, sports, and people shaping Rutherford County.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Roundtable Show with Rick and Wayne this morning. And Wayne, how are you, buddy?
I'm fine. This heat is horrible. I was talking to a buddy that I played.
You remember that time we were in here about 7 months ago when we were absolutely freezing to death in this room?
Yeah. I was talking to a buddy that I played football with at Middle. For whatever reason, fall camp at Middle started in July back in '72. And I was talking to Jerry, and how did we survive this heat? I mean, we're in those old heavy cotton uniforms and all those pads and the heat coming off of that old turf, which we affectionately called a Scotch-Brite pad. And it was... how we didn't die, I just don't know.
Well, y'all are actually the generation that walked to school on gravel roads and 5 inches of snow uphill with 30-mile-an-hour winds. So I don't know what your problem is, Wayne. This is just easy.
We'll be able to talk about gravel roads and stuff here in a bit, back with Old Smyrna here with our guests. But goodness, I'm tickled that football is just right around the corner, and I missed the Hall of Fame game with the NFL. I guess I must have been asleep at the wheel, but high school football was close.
You were sitting on a practice field.
Maybe that was it. We were watching with three grandsons playing baseball. It takes up a little time.
Yes, sir. I want to congratulate everybody on the election, those that won, and then I still want to congratulate those that didn't win because they put their name on the ballot and went through the process of being able to do it, and that's why we live in America. I think a lot of you watch the news and what's going on around the world, and we're dealing with a lot of situations out there where those people don't even have a voice or a vote, and at least we here, and those people cast their votes, and may we not like some of the choices that happen, but I'm gonna work with those people and make it happen and try to keep going forward with what we have going.
God bless you for that mentality. In my mind, everyone should run for office at least once. It brings a whole different perspective to the process if you're out knocking on doors and spending your own money to try to get elected. It's a different animal.
100%. Brian Barrett for mayor. That just got a ring to it, does it not? It's kind of got a ring to it, does it not?
Yeah. Way cool. Of course, you were unopposed, and I was pleased for that. But you and Brian did election night together, and how way cool. My partner in crime here. get that exposure. I'm pleased for you, brother.
Well, thank you, buddy. It was a learning experience. I've tried to go back. You learn from things by watching tape. So I thought I'd go back and try to watch it, and I'm just really having a hard time. I just it'll come with time, but I want to give a shout out to my wife. She was our runner there for a good while, and she was getting our guests to be able to come in and sit down with us. But
Cool.
a lot of people popped in early, unfortunately, and then they left early, so we didn't. As the show went on, we didn't have a lot of in-person people there, unfortunately. But I do want to give her a shout out for hanging out with me. She had to work the next morning, and she has to be in there at 5 in the morning. So she did us good, helped us out a lot.
And we'll get some more FaceTime with the Christmas parade. The
right.
town of Smyrna has asked us to MC that again, and I'm looking forward to that opportunity.
So remember how hot it is today.
Yeah.
Was that not the coldest day of the year between those two parades?
The
we
Murfreesboro parade was the coldest. I mean, single digits.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I've already been told by my crew, they said, if it's that cold again, we are not doing the parade. You're by yourself.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, solo, bro.
yeah. But Rick did a wonderful job, I thought,
Well,
and
y'all-
appreciate his help.
Well, just between weather and the political and, just WGNS does a great job. Thank you.
Well, that's why we're here.
Yes, sir.
And, just look how much you can grow in 4 years. You all didn't want to do a show apart from each other, and now he's broken off and done election coverage, and you can do your own show if a guest doesn't show. So, I mean, you've grown up a lot.
Well, there you go. We're still amazed that we're here 4 years later. So.
And I feel bad because I've been out for a few of these shows, and I've got one coming up here in a couple of weeks I have to be out with, and it was like going to the principal's office. I was like, yeah, Dad, I'm sorry. I got reelected, and I got to go to this 2-day class that the state makes you go through, and it's on Tuesday morning, so I had to go report, and I felt bad about even going and doing it, but I apologize.
Hey, we have to take care of our obligation.
Yes, sir.
Brother Rick, this morning, when we started this adventure over 4 years ago, our mission was to, fixate on our hometown, the northern end of the county, along with the Laverne, and we've done that pretty well. But we've had some shows that not only affected the county community, but also the state, and a couple of times maybe even federal. And but this morning. We're getting back to the basics or our roots. We're going back to Old Smyrna, and I hope our guest isn't offended by that, because I resemble that remark. But this morning we have Mr. Tommy Johns, and if you grew up in Smyrna, the Johns name is extremely well known, and of course Ernie John as a former commissioner and Rutherford County historian, Frank Johns Jr., former not only business owner but town council member, and Mr. Tommy, we are just so pleased to have you and get to talk about things that you remember. You're a bit older than Rick and I, and we're really hoping to tax you a little bit this morning and get you to recall some of the early days of our hometown. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I think you'll have a great time. And I introduced a little bit about your family, but this first segment we always try to get into our guests and their, the family history. Of course, we could probably do that the entire show as long as the Johns have been around. But why don't you talk about yourself and family and brothers, sisters, the whole 9 yards?
I was born. I lived in a house used to be 3 miles from Smyrna. Now it's in Smyrna, but it was the old King property, and my great-grandfather had bought the place in 1863. They had a house in Laverne, but the federal troops burned it down, and so he bought this house, and it's been in the family ever since, and it still stands today. So, but I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and all of us went to the University of Tennessee, graduated, except my youngest sister. All the 4 of the boys, we all were in Air Force ROTC, and we all got our commission as an officer and went in the Air Force and served our time. And then when we got out of the Air Force, we joined our dad, who was building houses, and that's what I did for 40-something years, build houses. So, and then in 1908, the downturn, and I said, I'm not going to fight this. And my wife got sick, so I said, well, I'll just quit. And I tried to do nothing for a couple of years, and that didn't work. So Bill Lee in Smyrna, I said, Bill, can't you get me a job with Batesville Casket Company? And he said, yeah, I think I can. So in 2011, I joined Batesville and stayed with them 15 years.
Good.
And then they moved to Manchester, but I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun.
So what did you do with Batesville? I had an uncle and an aunt that worked for Batesville as well.
I drove a truck with the small trucks that delivered caskets to all the funeral homes in Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, and then even into Indiana I went. So I really got an education by driving, and I really enjoyed that. So,
talk about your education growing up in Smyrna.
Yeah, I went to Jefferson School, which was right beside our old house, and then I went to Smyrna High School, and then on to the University of Tennessee. So.
Now, who was your principal at Smyrna High School?
J.J. McWilliams.
Mr. McWilliams.
Yeah.
We had that in common. So we both had a healthy fear of Mr. Mack, didn't we?
Oh, yes. I mean, he's like the highway patrol. He was strict, you know.
Yeah. Of course, Rick had Mr. Rakes, and Mr. Rakes was a protege of Mr. Mack. So Rick kind of got a healthy dose of Mr. Mack too, just because Mr. Mack, he affected so many people.
And he never did whip me, though.
Well,
Lane can't say that.
Yeah, well, no, with Mr. Mack, I had decided when I went into high school that I wasn't going to do anything to get on Mr. Mack's bad side. But if there ever came a time when he was going to paddle me, I decided that I was just going to leave school. I was not going to take that. I did not want my classmates to see me cry. So I was not going to take that paddling from Mr. Mack. But I wasn't going to do anything to get a paddling from Mr. Mack either.
Right.
Talk about, if you would, a little bit about, we talked off before the show, and I started this new 501c3 with the Smyrna Historical Preservation Association in Smyrna, and our hopes is to raise money over time and be able to open a museum with a lot of Smyrna artifacts. And it's not really, we're saying the Smyrna, but it's the Smyrna area. Old Jefferson being a part of that, and if you all the little towns, the Blairs on Blair Road, and it had all these little smaller communities that all kind of, because of the train depot in Smyrna, it seems like they would come that way. But the King property you're talking about, or the John's house that's on Old Jefferson Pike, it's got a lot of interest on the internet and people asking and going by and things about it. But you actually, like you said, your family bought it in 1863, and you were able to grow up in that house. But
I did.
Tell us about what that area looked like and what it was like living in that house, because I can remember when I started patrol in the early 90s, there was a white house with a big front porch that was to the side of it. It was up, I think, closer to Jefferson Pike and on the side, and it got tore down years. It was in pretty bad shape during that time. But tell us about that house and you growing up in, and what your memories are of that place.
My dad built that house about in 1932, and
the one to the side of it.
you're right.
Yep.
And we grew up there, and then when my grandmother died, we moved to the big house on the hill up there, but that's where we all
Grew up as in that one.
right.
Yep.
And it was
Because it's in pretty, like you said, I asked about going and maybe seeing it, and you said you really don't want to see it again because you have so many fond memories of the way that house was.
It is. It would destroy me, I think,
Yes, sir.
by going back and looking at it. So.
Yeah.
But I don't know why people want to get in it. That there's nothing in it, just an old house,
Yeah, I don't know if they're wanting to get in it. I guess it's just telling the story of the house. You know how houses tell stories?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What the story of that house, like
The house that built me.
yeah,
Kind of like that
because
song.
when the Kings owned it, the Trail of Tears, obviously it came through there out of Jefferson. So that's what some people have looked at now. And that's one of the few houses still standing today that would have witnessed, that Trail of Tears thing when it happened. And everybody doesn't understand, but Jefferson Pike then went on and it went into Smyrna, but it went across the airport. So
Right, it went
into
straight on
Laverne.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the airport, when it came in, and which would have been before you were even born, it took out that part of Jefferson Pike that would have continued on in Laverne where they took that trail. But the things that would have saw, and it still has the old stone columns out front, and I know there's a log cabin there now that
Right. Dad built a log cabin. He liked to have chitlin suppers, and so he built that thing to do that because Mother didn't want to cook chitlins.
Oh, in
and
the
it'd
house?
stink up the house. So,
Yeah.
so Dad
Imagine
would get
that.
Dad would get a cook to come out there and he'd have his parties. But,
yeah.
and then we lived in it when we were growing up later on.
So how many acres of land did it encompass when you guys were in there?
It was probably 200 or 300 acres, and it was across Jefferson Pike, and we had another place. It was over there on we called it on the river, and
Yeah, because that been before the lake had came in.
oh yeah,
So
and
yeah,
the lake took a world of the property.
took
so,
a lot of it. Didn't it?
Yeah.
Talk about brothers and sisters again, just a little bit. Of course, we
Yeah.
mentioned that Ernie was a commissioner and Frank was a town council member. Kind of talk about growing up with siblings, maybe.
Well, Ernie and Frank were older than me. Frank was 11 years older than me, and Ernie was 9. But Frank was practically gone by the time I went to school, and Ernie was around longer, but really knew them better when they came back from the service. And we built houses, we framed houses, we did everything, from laying blocks to
Digging footers. And
oh man, we putting on roofs and all that, And it was a lot. I enjoyed it. We had our own crew,
So what about sisters? What did they do?
Well, my next sister, Susie, she taught school. She went to the University of Tennessee and got her degree, and she taught school here in Smyrna for years, and then she retired. And then my youngest sister, she went to the University of Tennessee and got married a guy from New Jersey. And so she moved up there, and she's lived up there their whole life, but she eventually went back and got her degree. So my dad had a degree from Vanderbilt back in the 20s and a civil engineer. And then my mother went to Tennessee College in Murfreesboro and got her degree. So
Pretty educated family in the early days.
oh, it was. It's very unusual. My dad was the only one that got her degree, and I guess mother and my aunt Adeline got her degree. So it was an interesting thing. Ernie was kind of my best friend, and he knew a lot of history. I mean, I just know a little bit. He knew it all. So
he and Rick have that in common with
Yeah.
Rick's investment in the Smyrna Historical Society.
Yeah. Well, somebody gave me one of his political signs when he was around for county commission
Yeah.
a few months ago, and it's everything was made by cardboard or paper back then, but I'm trying to figure out a way to preserve it so it doesn't get any worse condition than what it is. To maybe, I don't know, a political sign of people going to be interested, but I think Ernie needs a place in that, hopefully, future of that museum, because he did, tell a lot of stories and kept a lot up with what had happened. And I didn't really I had some conversations with him there at his house, through the years, especially when I was on patrol and he lived on Jefferson Pike, and we'd have wrecks in his front yard and stuff. That's how I got to know him. But he sure knew a lot about, the growings up and what happened.
He did a lot of ancestry work for us, and we can trace the Joneses back to Virginia and North Carolina, and then the Kings came from the same area over there. But the Kings we can trace back to England and just east of London is where they all came from.
So is the King and the Johns somewhere through history, the date, obviously marrying and
well, that was my mother and dad.
Okay.
That's where
So
the Johns and the Kings.
Patty King O'Connor was
Yes.
an aunt. Okay.
It's kind of funny, but it's not funny. But my grandmother was a king, and my grandfather was a king. They were both kings. They were distant cousins, but had married.
Well, the pickings was slim in the day.
Well,
so.
yes, but they each had like 8 or 10 sisters and brothers,
Right.
and so I still don't. I have to look in a book to straighten out who is who, So, but yeah, Patty King, Walter Hoover was a cousin, and you could just the Beasleys, McDonalds, and Hibbets, and
there's got to be some Blairs in there somewhere.
there was no Blairs, but
we were on the other side of the tracks.
I understand.
So you said book. Is there a book? Do you have a
well,
book?
Brother John, back a couple of years ago, Ernie had done just a regular ancestry thing, tracing everything back. But John said he wanted to do with the pictures. So I should have brought it this morning and could show it to you. But he did a nice book on the Joneses and the Kings. And it is, when I need to know something, I just go back and get my book and look at it.
My cousin Margaret Ann Blair Nairn did the same thing. She traced us back to Inverness, Scotland.
Oh.
So I bet you the notebook is a good 1.5 to 2 inches thick. So
Well,
yeah, it's kind of like Leviticus, who begot who,
Yeah, right it is.
Well, with that Ancestry.com, it really opens up a lot of avenues to help. Obviously, you've got a lot of central, local family lineage, but I'm kind of a transplant. My mom's side of the family's in Delaware. My dad's side was in Florida. So, but I was able to, through a friend of mine, help me. But I'm like you. I'm astonished by, some of the ancestors I've got, and we've got, part of those go back. We were the old Swedes church in Delaware in the 1600s, 1638. So I want to dig harder into that now, because knowing, that's my mom's side, the Connell family and the Forrest family, they're pretty, I had some Revolutionary War ancestors in there, which were in Delaware. So it makes me, where in the whole Washington story and all this does it really fit, and then what companies were they and things like that. And that's what I hope to do in the future, but try to fix that. But the Ancestry.com and what you can be able to do today is just amazing.
So why did the Yankees burn down the house in Laverne? Do you know?
They don't really know, but they think they were making uniforms or hiding people, or there was some kind of, there was a lot of resistance there was never any resistance to the federal troops when they came down to Tennessee until they got to Laverne. And they got there and they started getting
Fighting back.
Yes.
Okay.
And a policy that came from the Romans was when they would invade somebody, they burned everything down. And it went to the federal army too, and they would burn everything down. And it eliminated all problems. And so pretty much everything was burned down. Depots, houses, anything within a mile or two of the
There's a spot that on the old Nashville Highway in Laverne that they called Fortland Acres, and supposedly back up on the hill was maybe a Union or a Confederate redoubt. And I hope I'm saying that correctly. Okay. But you could find old musket balls and cannonballs and stuff like that in the day. And of course they built subdivision over the top of it. So, that was something I didn't know much about, though.
Yeah. Even the old house, the King House there, before my grandfather bought it, they had a battle around there. Wheelers raid around Rosecrans, and it was right there at the house. And they fought Wheeler there, the Federal Army did. So,
okay.
And, there was artifacts. We'd often find a mini ball or something around there. They had a pretty good fight.
I'd heard that as well, that because of Old Jefferson and the bridge, they would need to use that. And you think of, the Battlestones River being up here at Murfreesboro, but it was a whole lot of skirmishes that were up and down Old Nashville Highway into Smyrna, and then, Laverne. They got out over into Laverne, and then Old Jefferson, there was part of that area over there because they had boats come all the way up to Old Jefferson. So there was a way of them to get material and things up the river. So
that just seems ironic to me, because Stones River to me doesn't seem like it's a river that you could have shipped things.
Well, back in the old days, there was more water. There was more water.
There wasn't any. Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't impeded by water plants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. That was a deeper stream at the time.
I think I hear that they would even dredge at some points, because there were certain parts of the curves of the river that they would have to come in and dredge them. And then up around Old Jefferson, they had a dredged area, so the bigger boats, when they came up there wouldn't hit bottom. Depending on what time of the year it is, too, would help that, hurt that a lot.
If I had been alive in those days, I think I would have sniped them. Like the guy, what was it, Jack Henson or
Jack Henson?
Up in
Judge
Dover.
McFarland's.
Yeah,
ancestor.
Yeah, with that 50 caliber.
Oh, that is interesting.
Have you read that book?
2 or 3 times.
Oh, okay. yeah.
In fact, I just gave it to my sister. I had bought a book and gave it to her, and she wanted to read it. So it tells a lot about the Old South. I mean, how things were done,
Yeah. My brother Dennis has a copy of it as well.
Oh, it's just amazing that, and they were afraid for years to say anything about it,
Yeah.
Because they're afraid that'd be.
You mentioned about being in the Air Force. I think before the show you said something to Rick about that you were stationed in Alaska for a time.
I was stationed at Elmendorf and Anchorage. I was only stationed at 2 bases, Travis in California and Elmendorf. It's the only 2 places I ever, 2 bases.
I think Rick's about to take us to break. When you get back, will you talk a little bit about your service in Alaska?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in that as well. You listen to the Roundtable Show with Rick and Wayne. Our great guest we have with us today, Tommy Johns. But we're going to take our first break, and we'll be right back with you in a minute.
When it comes to your child's health,
You want care that's close, convenient.
And centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
Here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you.
Every step of the way.
What's the location of your emergency? I think my kid OD'd.
Hi, I'm Craig Harris. I'm County Commissioner of Rutherford County. One of the reasons I ran for office is because I wanted to bring awareness to the opioid epidemic that's impacting our county. To stop providing this epidemic with people as we educate. We have a lot to do, and we have to come together as a community because this problem's not going away.
And now for something you might not have known. Brought to you by the Tennessee Lottery. If you started counting right now and maintained a pace of one number per second, it would take you about 255 years to reach more than 8 billion. And here's something else you might not have known. The Tennessee Lottery has raised more than $8 billion for education, and we don't plan on slowing down anytime soon. You can count on that. The Tennessee Lottery, game-changing, life-changing fun.
This is Good Neighbor.
If you want to be in those, you'd better contact them quickly. Again, they both begin on August 18th. In addition, the City of Laverne is offering a Citizens Police Academy. For more information on their program, contact the Laverne Police Department. Big Fish continues this weekend at the Art Center of Cannon County in neighboring Woodbury. Learn how to dream big. Don't miss Big Fish. 2 more weekends at the Art Center of Cannon County in neighboring Woodbury. Don't throw away old glory. Bring your tattered American flag to WGNS and let the girls from BSA Troop 2019 at Trinity United Methodist Church retire it with dignity. Plus, we also recycle Bibles. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
A heat advisory begins at 10 a.m. today. Mainly clear today with a slight chance for storms. Highs level off around 95. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 81 degrees.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. Thanks to Sharing Change, MTE members are making a difference just by rounding up their monthly bills to support local nonprofits. See how it works at sharingchange.org.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
And welcome back to the second segment of the Roundtable Show with your host, Rick and Wayne. And it's our pleasure this morning to have long-time resident and a gentleman whose family is synonymous with the town of Smyrna, Mr. Tommy Johns, and not to be confused with the surgery that Major League Baseball players get, but we're pleased to have you this morning, Mr. Johns.
Well, thank you.
We before the show we were talking a little bit off air, and of course you mentioned that everybody had served in the Air Force ROTC and gotten commissioned, and you were stationed in Anchorage at
Correct.
one time?
At Elbendorf, right there next to the Army base was there, Fort Richardson, and then the Air Force base was right next to it, and it's all right there in Anchorage.
I have been to Anchorage once, and of course it was several years ago. I forget when the actual earthquake there in Anchorage was. That before you or after?
It was 2 years before I got there.
Okay.
Because my grandmother, she said, "Aren't you scared?" And I said, "No." I said, why should I be scared? And she said, "Well, you're going to Anchorage, you know." And I said, "I'm not worried about that." But it was when I got there, it still showed the effects of.
What year was that? When you went there?
66.
Okay.
and but I spent 2 years up there, and we were a support unit for the C-141s that were going back and forth to Vietnam, and we had to meet all of them, and each night they came through round the clock, and each night they would bring in at least one air evac plane, and then the duty officer, which would be me, would have to go out there and sit and watch them because they couldn't take the ambulatory off. So if they had a fire when they were refueling, we were supposed to go in there and get them off. We probably couldn't have gotten them off, but we had to sit out there each night. And
That just kind of, I'm trying to wrap my brain around that because, you know, we did the C-130s here at Seward, but you're talking about planes going Vietnam and Anchorage, Alaska. Just seems like that's forever.
Well, they first would put them in the hospitals in Vietnam, and then they'd send them to Tokyo or the base up there in Yokota.
Okay.
And they'd put them in a hospital there, and then when they got better, they'd put them on a plane. And it was only 8 hours from Tokyo to Anchorage, and then 8 hours from there to Charleston or anywhere on the East Coast.
Okay.
So it was just,
I
it was
really
just,
thought of it that like that.
because
Okay.
you could be in Tokyo in 8 hours from up there.
Okay. So how cold was it in Anchorage while you were there?
The winters would probably be about minus 10 degrees to 10 above all the time, and you got used to it. It was snow all the time, so. But it was very interesting, you know. The squadron I was in was a support squadron, and there were, I think, 42 officers in the squadron, and I think there were 38 second or first lieutenants. So I thought that was very interesting.
Where did so was there any? I'm thinking in '66 that we've been past the Cold War side of that, but was there any like you see today that Russia's flying our borders and we're flying their borders a lot, or was it just most of the Vietnam action going on?
You'd hear stories of the Russians flying over there. We supported the DEW line sites that were out there too, that take supplies out to them.
Mm-hmm.
And but there was always the stories of the Russians flying over Alaska, and I don't know if it's true or not, but it probably was. But we did the same thing. So
yeah. Kind of little cat and mouse.
Oh yeah, they played with each other.
Well, I guess if they were going to do a landfall, Alaska would be the place to attempt that. I would think.
I would think so.
Because you might meet resistance in Alaska. I think when you got to Canada, it'd be just a pretty easy trek down to the States. I don't know if there'd been much combat in Alaska.
There was nothing in Alaska back there, you know.
Exactly.
All the people were in Fairbanks or Anchorage, you know, or down on the coastline.
Well, there's still probably not a ton of people, and I don't know what the population is, but most of the population is still same place as Anchorage and Fairbanks.
Sure. Yeah.
Beautiful country, though.
It is. I really enjoyed my time out there. We'd get out and ride around and do things and ski and just travel, and never did stay on the base all the time. You know, a lot of them did, and they'd get cabin fever. You know.
Oh sure. I probably would have turned into quite the fisherman.
There was a lot of fishermen.
If I could have had access to the lakes and streams up there.
But I never did fish. I'm not a fisherman. So.
Wow. See any bears up there back then?
Only in museums.
So you got out of the service what year?
70.
And you came back to Smyrna and
I did.
started hammering nails and
Right.
I got to work for my brother-in-law, doing a lot of that stuff, driving nails, digging ditches. I found out pretty quick, and that was not what I wanted to do, for the rest of my life. So that taught me quite the lesson.
But it wasn't as bad as you think, and Dad believed in hard work, and he did that to keep us busy and out of trouble. So
when you came back and started building, because we needed a house, and they sent us to, I don't know who my dad had talked to, but somebody said you need to go over to Cross and Supply and tell them you need a house. Well, there wasn't very many lots. We were living at the Metalon or Weary Housing, because that's where a lot of the capital brought 400 employees down there with them. So we didn't have anywhere really to live, and we were living out in that area until houses could be built or places people could find things in the area. But the story I understand from Dad was that he went down to Crosland's, and they said, well, we don't have anything. And then Crosland Court was built off by Smyrna and Primary with Ross Drive, and they built the little court, and then we got a lot. And then the house that we still actually own, the house there on Crosland, was built, and I don't know, y'all might have had a hand in building those houses over there. So
no, back when Crosland came to Smyrna, they built houses too.
Yeah.
And then he quit.
So where did y'all build houses mostly around?
Over there in the Green Acres behind Goddard Clinic.
Uh-huh.
And it was a whole thing. Dad had developed it.
That whole area.
Yeah. And we built there for 20 or 30 years, seemed like.
Well, there's a lot of houses back there.
It is.
Today, know.
So somebody today, when we say Goodall, they don't understand where that's at.
Right.
Kind of describe where that Goodall Clinic would have been.
Well, if you going north and cross a little bridge down there, and there used to be a dairy up. I think it's an auto place now.
It is.
And then you turn right, and the first street on the left was, I can't think of the name, Good something.
It's not Moore?
No, Moore was further on down.
Okay.
But it's still there, but it was the only doctor's office in town. In fact, that was the only doctor's for a long time.
Well, again, my brother Dennis and I were born there back 53 and 55, and there was the old Rutherford County Hospital.
Yeah.
And then there was St. Thomas and Baptist downtown Nashville. But both of them.
And you're talking basically behind like Woodfin's, where Woodfin's funeral home is in town. It's that whole area back behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you better not have an emergency, because Goodall was probably the only.
He was.
Yeah.
He was
a professional in the area.
Yeah, and I remember back in the 40s, there was a Dr. Ship that was in Smyrna, and other than that, I don't know of any doctors in Smyrna, back then.
Probably your next best opportunity was a vet, since it was a farming community at the time.
I don't think there's maybe one vet in the whole county, it's in Murfreesboro.
Okay. Well, I that's not something I ever thought about before, but I'm sure you're right.
Yeah. It wasn't much of nothing in Smyrna, Didn't even really have when I first got out of the service, Cundiff's was the only grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
And then before that, there were a couple of little places, Mr. Ralph Coleman had a little place next to Smyrna Hardware. He had a little store.
And Thurman Francis, now he opened that store over on Front Street.
Right.
At some point in time.
Yeah, he did.
But I remember Cundiff's as a child.
Yeah. I forgot about Thurman Francis, And then the little place next to him was Wright's, not Wright's, but Moore's Market.
Right.
You remember that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And my great-grandfather's was an undertaker in Smyrna, probably the only one in Smyrna. And he had his little shop right there, and he made his caskets right there in that shop where the Moore's Market was.
Okay.
He didn't have a place. He just they had the funerals in churches. So,
But there ended up being a funeral home right there off Front Street, right, for years.
Walter King Hoover.
Hoover's
back,
yeah.
off of Division Street.
That's right. Yeah. So that's not a part of what you're talking about then.
Well, it was. I think Walter Hoover went ahead and opened that old house over there and made a funeral home out of it. But I don't know when they switched having like a funeral home. No, to a funeral home, because most of the time the funerals were in the churches.
That's right.
And then he just made his caskets in that little store. So.
Do you recall, was this prior to you, or when the Cedar Mill came into the middle of Smyrna? How long had it been there? Or of course, so many new people are going, Cedar Mill, what are you talking about? But
I don't know when it came to Smyrna, but it's been there back in the 30s and 40s,
Okay.
I'm sure.
was it called Lane
Cedar Mill?
Cedar Mill. We used to get a kick out of the noon whistle.
Oh yeah,
for
Is that
lunch.
your clock bite?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the headquarters was in Alta Vista, Virginia. That's where their main headquarters was, Lane Cedar Company, and they would just cut the cedar here and ship it up to Alta Vista, Virginia.
Okay.
And that's how Johnny Brandon got to Smyrna. He worked for Lane Cedar Company,
Okay.
and then he married one of the Colemans. So,
Okay.
no.
Of course, his son and I graduated from high school together.
Yeah.
John Brandon Jr.
Yeah.
So.
Dad was a partner with Mr. Coleman in the Smyrna Hardware, and in the 50s, Johnny Brandon wanted to come back from Virginia, so they asked Dad, said, "Would you sell out your share?" And he said, "Yeah, he'd sell it out." So they dissolved partnership, and that's when Dad went into home building. So.
Is that part of the old, like, what was it called, Western Auto, or was it? I guess there was one down on there on Lowry Street somewhere, right?
Well, it was down there where the old county government had a little where you get your license. down
Tag
there.
office, yeah.
Yeah, that was further on down.
Yeah,
so.
because I worked at P&B Market for Tommy Floyd there,
Right.
at a high school there for about 5 years. But I got a pretty good, I guess that might have helped me get my hook on history, because I had so many, guys that would come in there and tell stories, and just right there in the thick of where we were,
It's a funny story. I went down there one night. I used to go down there all the time, and I was backing out, and this old long-haired boy came up and introduced himself, and I didn't know who he was, and he was Albert Gore. He was running for congressman.
Wow.
I'll
never forget that.
I tell you, the Western Auto store there that Mr. Pilkington ran at the time. I mean, we would go in there and be in heaven,
bikes.
just with that long row of bikes. Just going, oh gosh, we'd love to have a bike.
Well, next to the tag office, there was a house, and there was an older gentleman that lived there that had like a 1965 Mustang. That it was like his dad had bought new or something, and he drove it. But they had a basement, and the story was, in the basement they didn't believe in banks, so all their cash was in this basement in these Model A and Model T tires. Well, every time he would come in and buy his groceries, he'd pull out these old bills from the 30s and 40s, and they would be like purple, and I thought they were Monopoly money. The first I said, you can't pay with these, and Tommy's over there, oh no, we'll take those. So he pays it. Well, that 20 would be worth $50 because it was so old, and they would be in this really good shape. So I don't think the tire thing could be correct, because I would think it would have mildewed and got ruined that old paper money. But he always paid with his really old, and his coins would be really old, like he had real silver dimes from the war, because they they needed other kind of metals, and that was a treat for every time he come in and bought his groceries every couple of weeks. So I do remember that. But hey, you're listening we got a great guest, Tommy Johns, with us today. We're going to take our second break. We're about there up, so we'll have a quick one here real quick, but I'll be right back with you in just a minute.
When it comes to your child's health,
You want care that's close, convenient,
and centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you.
Every step of the way.
I'll be right there.
It takes all of us to power a community, both in plain sight and behind the scenes. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
When the weather turns bad, minutes, even seconds matter.
This is an early heads up for southern Rutherford County.
Rutherford Weather brings you live radar and expert meteorologist insight, giving you the early heads up when storms threaten.
A lot of areas are going to see some impacts from this storm.
From analysis to live camera views, we keep you informed before, during, and after the storm.
I think the vast majority of the hail with this now is going to be quarter to perhaps golf ball size.
Rutherford Weather. Stay ahead of the storm.
Hey folks, it's Chip Walters from Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, helping Middle Tennessee make smart moves in a fast-moving market. Whether you're buying, selling, or just exploring your options, you deserve someone who knows this community and treats your goals like their own. From first-timers to long-time homeowners, I'm here to guide you with clarity, confidence, and a steady hand. When you're ready to make the next move, start with someone you trust. Visit choosechip.net and let's make your 2026 move the right move.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
And welcome back to the third and final segment of the Roundtable with your host, Rick and Wayne. And it's been our pleasure this morning, and we've kind of run past our breaks a little bit, but we've had longtime Smyrna resident and Tommy Johns, and we've talked a lot of history of the town of Smyrna. We've talked a lot about the Johns family, and of course Rick being so involved in the historical thing he's trying to do. So maybe we end on that.
Well, I think this was part of it. We've got a podcast now that we're, you've been able to come in, Mr. Johns, and tell the story about you growing up in Smyrna and what's part of that. And that's what I hope this show could be played later on if we're able to put something together that we're losing 10 acres an hour in the state of Tennessee. They're just mopping up and building over, and Rutherford County is one of those big hotbeds of that. And I just hate seeing us destroying a lot of old Smyrna history. At least we can have people like you tell the story of what they remember.
Yeah, I hate to see that old house go. It's
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's just, I need to watch the road, but I just have to take a peek every time I drive by.
Oh yeah.
Well, like the Sam Davis home, it's going through some renovations right now, and a lot of people have seen boarded up windows and things because they're sent the windows off to get redone because there's such a that can't run down the hardware store and replace those old windows and repair them. There's certain people and specialized people that do that. So a house like the King House and others around that, I really hope we can hold on to some of them. And
my grandfather's sister was Ida King Davis, married to Charles Davis.
Charles Davis.
No, and that's where they lived.
Yeah. God bless you and God bless your family.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Same here. But thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it a lot.
This is fun.
Everybody have a great week, and please stay